Here we go.
One, two. Oh man, we're already live. Damon, happy Monday, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great, Kurt. Had a good weekend?
Oh my goodness gracious, Easter, Passover, whatever you celebrate, just a wonderful, glorious weekend. And here we are today. Now, Damon, before we bring out our guest, oh my God, she's on the stage already. And
Yeah.
on the
Hey,
stage.
y'all.
And how are you, my friend? Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday. Yes, I'm good. I'm excited to be here with you guys today.
Oh my goodness gracious. Man, I got to feel my heart just pounding right now. I'm almost nervous, Damon. I usually don't get nervous with our guests. This is a big one, man. This is a big day for us today. Post Easter. Hope everybody had a wonderful, glorious weekend. And how was your weekend?
It was really good. It was really good. I just took some downtime and just hung out with my little one and did the Easter thing, and it was very chill.
It was
So I
very
like
chill.
it was good.
You had a fantastic post on Friday, and I believe your son's name is Phoenix. That handsome man was on LinkedIn, and you posted a little post on the teacher sent you a note or a picture of him at school. That you want to share what was going on there with Phoenix?
Yeah, so Phoenix, he is just he's the most curious individual. I think he is so inquisitive. And I knew, when he was around 6 months old and started crawling, and he started taking the wheels off the bottom of my coffee table, and then started taking the air vents out of the floors. I was like, we've got a problem here. I was like, I don't think this is normal.
No.
But he's just super inquisitive, always very interested in learning new things, how things work. He wants to know the how of everything. So his teacher does a really good job. We're gonna miss her next year, honestly, because his teacher does such a good job with incorporating activities into their lesson plans. And I thought that was really clever. The sink float thing is very popular on a show called Blippi. If you guys don't have littles, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but they basically put things in a fish tank and it's like, will this sink or float? And he loves doing stuff like that at home. I'm already finding little experiments in the refrigerator and all kinds of fun things. So he really enjoyed that. He talked about it the entire week. He brought home the piece of paper and was like, I just knew it would float. I just knew it would float or whatever. And, she let them draw out what they were kind of seeing or whatever. And then he was like, it does float. But he said, but if you take all the air out of it, it sinks. And I'm like, so cool. That's so fun for you, So he had a great time.
Polly Rose took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Polly, happy Monday to you. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. He's with a mother like Ann Wyatt, sounds like a future engineer in the making here, and this is absolutely awesome. So thank you for sharing that. So let's dig into you and your background here. And so you are a recruiting guru. For anybody, can't imagine anybody not familiar with Ann. You are everywhere on LinkedIn. You're a keynote speaker. You're all over the place doing amazing work. Let's take a deep dive. Let's go back in time. You're a Western Kentucky grad. When you were in college, came out of college, where was life taking you at that time out of college?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2010, and Bowling Green, I don't know if you guys are super familiar. Damon, you said you used to live in Middle Tennessee, so you're probably very familiar with Bowling Green.
Yeah, I've been there.
So it's a lot of automotive.
Oh yeah.
So what
Corvette
really
Museum.
Yeah, that's right.
Trivia, Damon.
Yeah. And so when I graduated college, I thought that Bowling Green was very interesting to me because I graduated, right after the recession. And of course, Bowling Green is almost all automotive.
Yeah.
It feeds that plant, right?
Yeah.
And other plants in Tennessee. So what I really liked about Bowling Green and kind of why I stayed there for as long as I did was that I thought that it was interesting because even during the middle of a recession, what I thought was a really good sign was that, people were still spending money to some extent because the businesses, the other local businesses around the area were able to sustain that whole time.
Mm.
So I thought, that's really a good sign,
Mhm.
given the climate. But what was interesting was it was very hard. It was still like no one was really hiring at that time, if you know
Mhm.
what I mean.
Mhm.
Um, and me being a poor, broke, fresh grad college student, I needed internet. And so I lived very close to the Career Center. I lived on Magnolia Street, and the Career Center was over on Chestnut Street. And it was easy for me to go there and do my job searching because they had free internet as a resource. And so I just went every day and I was like, I'm just here to job search. Yeah, I mean, we got to that point. Like, it's just me. I'm
Yeah.
here to job search again. And one day when I went in, the front desk receptionist asked me if I didn't want to work there. And I said, me? I was so excited. I was like, you want me? And so this was her response. She said, yeah, I mean, you're here every day anyway.
I love that story.
Yeah,
And I
that's
said,
awesome.
Classic, isn't it? So, guys,
sign me up.
let me pause right there for Anya Ann. So, guys, anytime you're looking for, well, that's how Damon and I got married. Like we just kept
Yeah.
like going up every day.
Yeah.
And it worked out, right, Damon? But
Yep.
guys, if you're out there job searching, trying to land that client, trying to land that customer, what a great, and when you shared that with me before, I absolutely love that story. Just keep showing up. You put in the reps. Next
That's
thing you
right.
know, you're blessed with a job. So what went on from there?
So from there, I worked at the front desk. And that was through Adecco. I'm not sure if you're
Mhm.
familiar with them, but they're like a temp service,
Yeah.
personnel services firm.
Yeah.
And that's kind of who the state works with. So I worked for Adecco and I worked the front desk and I would help people, in the self job search area. And I would also check people in. And at that time, I mean, I remember the first few weeks coming home after working the front desk all day and I would just fall asleep. It was rough because I was checking in probably 600 to 800 people a day.
Whoa.
Yeah, at that time. And
Okay.
that was back when we had federal extensions and state
Yeah.
extensions. So essentially you had like 2 years of unemployment. So I'm not sure if you guys remember that or not. But I was really eager to help people because I'd been there,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I ended up there.
Right.
And the manager of the office at the time asked me if I would be interested in coming on with the state full time. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to meet. I would love to. So I started working as a workforce development specialist one,
Right.
as again, is more of like the state equivalent of a temporary under a federally funded grant. And then when that grant expired, I was actually promoted to workforce development specialist two because we had been gifted an opening. And I know if you're in state government, you're like, that's not very common. So it's very much like a gift.
Yeah.
So from there, I managed in a satellite office 2 days a week in Franklin, Kentucky. I worked with employers on their job searching placement, job orders, managing their job orders. I think at one time I was managing, over 1,000 job orders at a time. Some of those need more attention than others. So some of
Mhm.
those are quite automated, but others, they wanted very specific matching. They were very vocal about this is what I need, this is what I want. Some of them wanted to do job fairs, and that would either be like a group event, so like with a partnering agency like the Chamber of Commerce, the Industrial Authority, the Technical College, things of that nature, which I would coordinate and then assist with the advertising and marketing for that event and do all that stuff. And then other job fairs were very much like, we just want to come in, use your facility and interview. We want to be there from 10 to 2, and we want to do 30-minute slots. And it was my job to call and book those slots for them. I got into recruiting with the workforce development office. I actually made my first placement. I recruited an out-of-state controller for a startup greenfield site. I assisted with Greenfields in assessing their workforce development needs and assessing the workforce, like what they needed. I've coordinated groundbreakings. I've coordinated grand openings. I have put together labor market information profiles saying this is what we have in this area. If you should choose to come here, that was actually used in the successful recruitment strategies of economic development agencies to bring business in. I did all kinds of things. So.
You talk about that greenfield process, and I've been through that before when I was in South Dakota and I built the first plant for the company outside of the state, and we went into Middle Tennessee and built it. And you're talking about that workforce development. When you go into an area that you're not familiar with, that's critical. It's critical. I can remember meeting with the local people and that were in charge of that, and how helpful it was really to get an idea of the local environment, introductions to people, and all the just the helpful. This is how we hire here. This is how labor and industries, or not in the labor and industries, but how workers' compensation works in the state. This is how, there's so much you've got to learn going into a place like this. And it's so helpful. And as you talk about that, it was bringing back memories of just how critical that is for these companies coming in to get that information.
Yeah. And a lot of these are international suppliers.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I don't know which, I'm sure
no
you
idea.
have the same in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea what they're doing. They're coming from France or something like that. And, it's like, what do we do? And people like
the employment law is different, right?
Yeah. Just everything. So that's cool.
Right.
That's cool.
So super exciting work that you were doing at an extremely young age, very impressive, a lot of responsibility. And it just goes to show with the talent and skills that Ann Wyatt brings to the table. So Ann, let's fast forward to 2015. You decided to take the plunge into entrepreneurship. What inspired you? Let's go there. What was going on in 2015 that you took that plunge?
So by 2015, we were getting a major influx of greenfields. We were getting a major influx of greenfields at this point. So, I mean, I've probably worked with, definitely over 10, and I would have to sit here and count, but we're in double digits of greenfields. And I was thinking, I don't really know that we have the people. I mean, that was my thing. I was like, I don't really see the people. I don't know. I don't see the people. So the last thing that you want to do, though, with workforce development is set, bring all of this in, and then not have the workforce to sustain it.
Right.
So I felt very called to work just with manufacturing companies and really help them recruit for this workforce and help them find other options, like candidate pools that were outside of just this immediate area. So a big thing that I've been able to do for my clients, especially on the Franklin, Kentucky border, that borders Tennessee, is identify talent in Tennessee. Bring them to Kentucky. Or in other, regions that maybe it's not like a full relocation, but it's like, hey, we can get you a U-Haul, or we can do a few months of rent or whatever you need to get them here. So that's really where I've had the most success with that. But I basically said, I'd love to help in a more like targeted way, strategic way. And really focus all of my attention and my energy on this because I really felt like it was critical at that point. And so I asked my clients, I said, what do you think about this? Some of the companies I worked with that ended up being, and they were like, yes, and I was like, so you think that I should? Yes. Would you hire me? Yes. Nice. So I was like, okay, let's do it.
So, and let's touch on this for a second. And so, and having those instant customers obviously helps drive that decision. But what I want to back up, you said I decided I love manufacturing, and we
Yeah.
love women in manufacturing, millennials in manufacturing. We like to talk about Damon and I. We talk about diversity in manufacturing, and what's awesome is here you are sharing your passion, your spirit in manufacturing. You could have gone into other industries outside of, or kind of you're in that lane. Is there other, what inspires you and what drives your passion for manufacturing?
So that's a really good question because I did not grow up thinking that I was going to be in manufacturing
Right.
because both of my parents worked for the state of Kentucky and retired. I was very focused in, I mean, my degree is basically focused in public administration. I mean, I thought that this was just, I
Yeah,
would
that's the path.
be in state government.
Right. Right.
But I think what really inspired me to be in manufacturing was, first of all, going into the facilities and seeing the machinery, the robotics, all of that stuff. I was like, whoa, and I tell everybody, I'm like, it was like the Cupid and the arrows and the
Oh
hearts.
yeah.
It was like that. Yeah.
They
Um,
struck your heart, right?
Yeah.
yes. And then another thing that I really was impressed with, especially having the experience that I had getting out of college and not really having many options for employment, right? Was the wage, like the wages that, when you're pulling like wage profiles, either hourly or salary, and you're able to see that information, you're privy to that information, how much somebody's made in a quarter
Yeah.
of a year. Um, and you look at that and you're like, you're kind of like, I I could make $80,000, you
Right.
know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
doing this, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's something that really was inspiring to me because I was like, well, I went to school or whatever, but I have a lot of friends that, didn't go to school and make. I mean, one guy he graduated a couple of years ahead of me. I mean, he makes triple digits. He's an operator for a steel mill, an aluminum
Nice.
mill.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah.
he was like, I'm not going to college, I'm going to work.
Right.
Yep.
So we can't let that
Yeah.
go. And we've got
No.
let's double down on that a little bit. So, as we're really driving, there's been labor challenges since COVID. And, unfortunately, manufacturing hasn't been front of mind or maybe kind of took a back seat. So if you're talking, you do a lot of speaking. If you're talking to young folks, millennials, maybe let's go younger than millennials. Let's hit the kids that are you're speaking to kids in high school, junior high, college.
Oh yeah.
There are enormous opportunities in manufacturing. What's wonderful, it's like it's just not me and Damon sitting here saying it. It's like you are on the front lines, seeing it firsthand that there are enormous, incredible, wonderful opportunities for folks to not only make a living, but they can provide for a family. They have a future. Share a little bit about some of the stories or some of the things that you see firsthand.
Yeah, no, that's another great question. And I'll tell you a little bit about notice on the show announcement, like on LinkedIn. You added the junior achievement to that, and I love that. So what I would do with junior achievement is when I was really active with that, I always requested the high school kids because I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm just that person. Everybody's like, why would you do that?
Right.
Because they're the ones that are getting ready to
Yeah.
make these serious decisions.
Yep.
That's why. And, you can kind of reason with them. And if you put it in a way that they're like, oh, that makes sense, then, I think that resonates. So I worked a lot with junior achievement, teaching the program. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that program.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So they give you the curriculum and
Yeah.
basically you just kind of go over that curriculum every week. And I always made time to just sneak that in there. Like, oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, this
Right.
would be a really good applicable, case for manufacturing or whatever. And then really trying to get to know the kids. And at the end of that experience, I would always go through the class roster, and I would poll job like career paths for them. So I would try, as best as I could, right? I would say,
Hmm.
hey, have you looked at this? Just trying to plant that seed in their head.
Yeah.
Just saying, look, and then I would always, circle the salary. Like,
Right.
by the way, yeah. So I think that's really an important conversation to have. And if you can find opportunities like either through junior achievement or some other great programs out there that are similar,
Right.
then that's the perfect chance to say, look, guys, and I've shown them. I have brought up even like on the projector, that was very cool with the projector. Got my laptop out, hooked it up, and was like, look, check this out.
Right.
And then check what they're offering out here.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good money.
It's exactly. And it gives alternatives and options for kids that just, college isn't their path, isn't their direction. And what's wonderful, so there's all sorts of university programs. If Damon and I work closely with the manufacturing extension partnerships out there, they have all sorts of workforce development programs, your local chamber of commerce, your local manufacturing trade associations,
Your industrial authorities.
the industrial
Yep.
agencies, so on and so forth. So there are enormous opportunities out there. So for anybody out there, your kids, if there's any young people out there, man, this is a great, inspiring story here. Now, Ann, let's slide into you're an industry 4.0 enthusiast.
Yeah.
Like, so for Damon and I aren't young guys anymore, unfortunately. So, if there's folks out there that are like, hey, what's Industry 4.0? And please walk us through that. Explain what is Industry 4.0 and what is an enthusiast of Industry 4.0?
So that's a great question. And I do want to clarify, I am an enthusiast. I'm not a practitioner because
Enthusiast.
I don't go and do the programming, and I don't go set the machinery, and I don't get the robots to, do all the things. And I don't have the software for the robots to do all the things.
Right.
But as an enthusiast and from my perspective, Industry 4.0 is just the ability to digitalize your manufacturing process, be either by creating like digital twins or some sort of digital representation where you can get ahead of your manufacturing process and really focus on other things such as continuous improvement, culture, that type of thing. I know that's not the prettiest definition of Industry 4.0, but
that was spot on. I love it. And there's so much, let's take a deeper dive there. Let's go into some, man, this is juicy. There's a lot of great information here. You've talked automation. We talk a lot about robotics. We have mutual friends with like Chris Lukey. Megan is here today. Megan.
Oh,
she is a fierce advocate. She's out there. This person didn't show up, but Ann, do you work career changers? And do you work career changers?
Well, the best thing that I can do for if you're wanting to do a career change would assess like what type of career change you're wanting to make, where your applicable skills would be, and where those transferable skills would be. So that would be, you would need to probably connect with me on LinkedIn and then shoot me a DM. Yeah.
Cool.
And we'll go over that. Yeah.
Perfect. And then our dear friend Nicole Donnelly is here today. Man, if you're not connected with Nicole, and you two of you need to connect. You guys are
hi, Nicole.
a lot of inspiration here. So let's take a deeper dive. Okay, so again, you've piqued our folks out there that, man, Ann, you've really piqued my curiosity on this Industry 4.0. I'm a small manufacturer. The average manufacturer is 20 folks or below, right? Average manufacturer, 75% of all manufacturers are 20 folks and below. Maybe they have limited resources. They have limited financial means, what have you. And sometimes they might think that that's above their realm. Let's take a deep dive on what are some opportunities for our small manufacturers in Industry 4.0.
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's something that I'm always like, because I love my SMEs. Those are my people.
Right.
So that's something that I've really felt like has been kind of this focus point for them is how do we bring Industry 4.0 to our facility, because obviously we're running, like can't stop running. But at the same time, if we're not running, it's down, we're fixing it and all of this. But I think just having that plan and really partnering with another Industry 4.0 provider, like a person that can walk you through that
Mhm.
process
Mhm.
that is specific to the SME. And
Mhm.
I have been fortunate to connect with some of those folks. To me, I really think that there needs to be an emphasis on the culture shift.
Mhm.
So that's where, I can provide some assistance for you as far as like high performing teams, building high performing teams, assessing high performing teams, that type of thing.
Mhm.
Because I think that that's going to be the culture of manufacturing future. I think it has to
Yeah.
be when you look at like the automation that's involved, and you're looking at kind of the workforce and what that's how that's going to change. And I think that people. I think Jake Hall posted this awesome meme
Yeah.
earlier. If you haven't seen it,
Buddy Jake.
so he essentially was like, robots are what was it? Robots are creating jobs, not taking them. Change my
Oh, yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
and absolutely, and I think everybody's like, "Oh, robots are gonna take our jobs," still to a certain extent. So really, like working with your
Yeah.
workforce and
Right.
saying, "No,
Right.
this is not taking your jobs," because really, in the grand scheme of things, by 2030, there's going to be like 2.1 million open jobs. So
Yeah.
really, what we're doing is we're making you have more. We're giving you more meaningful work because we're
Yeah.
letting you, empowering you to make better decisions that are business driven and not like I'm going to go to work every day, there's this monotony, I'm just going to load a part in a machine and whatever, run the machine all day. So
Well,
I
this
think that's going to be very attractive to
if
the younger
we don't
workforce.
adopt it, we're not gonna be able to run.
Right. We won't be
I mean,
going.
there's not gonna be enough people.
Right. And you
Yeah.
know what? It's always a fear of change. And I do want before so Megan, thank you. So Damon,
Thanks,
that was
Megan.
our
Yeah.
dear friend
Chris.
Chris Young. Man, we love you, Chris. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us today. And you and Chris definitely need to
Yeah.
connect. You guys are fierce advocates, women in manufacturing. We have a great crowd here today. So Chris, thank you. But man, you covered a couple great things there.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you the future manufacturing. We're going to come back to that because you started scratching that surface. But let's talk about automation because it's automatic, like, oh, it's going to take my job. We could go back to the Luddites of the early 1800s in the textile industry in England. They were like, they were rebelling because these machines are going to take our jobs. They didn't take our jobs. When the trains came around, they were going to take jobs. When cars were invented, if you were, a blacksmith, man, yeah, that wasn't a great place to be. But historically, and we've seen this in retail, we see this with everything, right? And I know it's a
Yeah.
fear factor, it's immediate, human by human nature. We don't like change, but we need to embrace this change. So I want to go there. And you do a great job with culture. And that's a big thing. So guys, what I love about Ann here, so think about this. If any of us, there's a lot of marketers or different facets that are listening today, and you need an expert in recruiting, Ann is definitely your person. Please connect with Ann here on LinkedIn. She would love to talk to you about recruiting, culture building. And that's the thing, Ann, is that you're not just filling bodies. You're not just like, hey, I'm going to, just bring in an individual or a person to fill that space. You're
Yeah.
all about
No.
building that culture. When you
Yeah.
when you face maybe an environment, maybe it's the individual, maybe it's the company itself, maybe, and they need a little culture shift, a little culture improvement. How do you bring your superpowers to that table to help kind of shine the light on that culture shift?
That's a great question. That is a great question. And I'm always sometimes I get into some trouble because I'm
Yeah.
like, if you're looking for a high capacity, high volume fill firm, this is not really that's not really my thing. And as honest as I can be here, I want to set you up for success, and I want to set the candidate up for success.
You know what? Hey,
And one of the biggest ways to
Damon,
do
Yeah.
that,
how about
Yeah. There you
little
go.
mic drop moment right there? So, and I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, Dan. I'm sorry to interrupt. What a person of integrity to say, hey, you know what? And what I love about that, and you're saying, I'm not for everybody, and I'm not going to pretend that my clients are for everybody. So please
Yeah.
continue. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to
That's good.
emphasize that that's a great testament to you that you know who your clients are. You're striving for their success. Please continue.
yeah, yeah. No, I think that's so. I just get irritated with that sometimes because I'm like, look, I know, but what you really, you've got to look at career. You got to look at fit because I want this person to, I'm a romantic at heart. I'm like, yeah, this person's gonna get, this company, and they're just gonna like have some sort of career marriage and whatever. But no, in all seriousness, I don't want to put somebody somewhere where I'm setting them up to fail. I do not want to give my client someone to set them up for a mishire and
Yeah.
fail. Recruiting is very expensive. I don't know if you guys
Yep.
understand all that. Yeah, we won't get into that. But I mean, it makes no sense for a company to continue to, pay for recruitment services
Right.
for them to make a mishire,
Yeah.
So that's something that I really try to address with the client. And I want to assess the candidates that I provide for culture. And the way that I do that is learning the culture of the client. And I take the time and I want to do that because at the end of the day, I promise you're going to be a lot happier. I give you somebody that, this is your person. This is your person,
Right.
and
Hmm.
that person's going to be there for the long haul, and they're going to come in and they've got proven examples of where they have offered this leadership previously. They can tell me exactly what strategies they use for team building or culture improvement or whatever, and that's really the kind of the rock star that I want to offer to my company. So I hate I hate that I'm like
Well,
And it
telling
doesn't
you how
always,
it is, but I'm
it's
telling you how it is.
it's not always the right fit. I mean, you can have stellar credentials, experience, all this kind of stuff, and you get down to the culture, and if that doesn't fit,
right.
it doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
and you need to totally ask your candidate too. And that's
Yeah.
another thing. So like that's something that the recruiter trainers, they're like, it's your job to make it happen. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
get
look,
it through, get it through, get it through.
bro,
Yeah.
I'm
right.
not like
You know,
it's my job to make sure that everybody's happy is what my
Yeah.
job is.
right.
So, that's something you need to ask the candidate. How do you feel? I'm always asking about the butterflies. Do you have the feel goods? Do you have the butterflies? Does this feel like something that, you could see yourself doing for the long term? And if they're like, if they're kind of hesitant, I'm like,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we're good.
They're
Just
doing
tell
you a
me
favor.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as a recruiter, and you're kind of playing matchmaker. That's why David and
Yeah.
I, we don't like setting up our friends on dates because it doesn't go
Yeah.
well. But that's when you set up that date, if you will, and it's a long term. That's why take a look. Let's backtrack on a second here, guys. First off, connect with Ann on LinkedIn here, and just look at fresh out of college, 5 years out of college. She man, you very easily could have taken that federal government route, that safe paycheck. I salute you. I applaud you to take that leap of faith, that courage to jump into entrepreneurship in 2015. And why has Ann been so successful for 7 years? My goodness, 7 years you've had your recruiting firm and Wyatt Recruiting, and you've done that because you do things with integrity. You take the time to understand the culture of your client. You understand what the needs and the goals and the skill set of the worker, the worker themselves. And I think that's a true testament to how you handle yourself.
Yep.
And let's slide in. So now you're in Alabama, you're in the Huntsville area, which is just exploding with manufacturing. You
Yeah.
have a lot of defense. NASA, I believe, is in your neck of the woods. What's going on? Talk a little bit about the industries that you're servicing and who is really who's listening to the song that you're singing, if you will. How's that?
Yeah. So, I actually still work with a lot of clients in Bowling Green, and I work on kind of a national scale. But I'll tell you, the Mazda plant that they just built up the road is really exploding, and I'm really interested in kind of seeing what they do. They're not really my client base, but some of the ideas that they're kind of doing for their workforce, such as like they're offering daycare, which
Nice.
I thought was
Yeah.
super innovative. I think I did a
Yeah.
Workforce Wednesday post about that some time ago. But yeah, the whole daycare option and finding a way to do that, even if it's partnering with another think they're partnering with another company on that. That is super progressive to me
Oh, yeah.
because a lot of their workforce, I feel like, is going to require, you know, some sort of childcare service. And I thought that was just really unique. So that's definitely gonna help them with their recruiting needs, and also just their existence, that plant being there. We are sure to see more suppliers to that plant coming regionally as well. So I think that's really going to blow up in the next couple of years for sure.
Well,
Cool.
that's super exciting. So I know you're super busy. We're coming into time. And as we wind down, so we covered a lot. So we talked about the future, super exciting there. We talked about women in manufacturing, man. And I love what you were just talking about, the daycare. And let's part on this. And what advice do you have for manufacturers out there as far as trying to instill a better culture of diversity, speaking to women in manufacturing? If you were CEO of a large manufacturer, what are some steps that you would take to help diversify our manufacturers?
So I really think, you know, focusing on culture is huge. I think that's still kind of a struggle for some companies, some more than others, but just giving them, you know, improving the workforce culture probably needs to be step one. And just kind of putting in ways to assess the culture over time, either matrices or like some sort of, you know, even if it's like feedback, some way to collect feedback, whatever works for your organization. And then also really increasing like your recruitment strategies for that targeted group. And that's something that you really need to kind of take that mentality of meet people where they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, if you're going to develop a recruitment strategy and you want to make that on diversity, then that needs to be your target. You know, and then get involved in organizations, local organizations. I mean, the Boys and Girls Club, they do amazing things, right?
Yeah.
And just other, you know, whatever your community has, that, you know, that could be of that audience, and just meet people where they are, get involved, be a mentor, you know?
That is awesome. And I know, and you volunteer for the Boys and Girls Club, I believe, correct?
Well, our SHRM group in Franklin, they had this, we kind of did this thing called the Bridge Academy.
Yeah.
And it was like a 6-week course where one of us volunteered each week from our SHRM group to go in and teach the kids at the Boys and Girls Academy, high school kids, skill sets. So like mine was obviously on branding, and like I was the one talking about, now I know you love your tattoos, I love my tattoos, you know, whatever, and you know, like going over all the branding stuff for you know, make sure you're not on Facebook getting in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, all that. Let's not do that. But you know, that was 10 years ago too. So I mean, but you know, we would talk about that, but then other HR people in my group, they had some awesome sessions on learned about the manufacturing process by putting together an assembly line where they made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
Another one taught banking, like what investment looked like 401ks and all of that good stuff that my generation's like, why didn't you teach us that?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. And so let's wind down on this. Now, number one, I think you agree, all the cool kids are going into manufacturing, are they not, Ann? That's the word on the street.
Yes.
Right. So
they are.
All the cool kids are going into manufacturing. So guys, let's wind down on this. And now folks can obviously connect with you here on LinkedIn. You also are a co-founder of the Industry 4.0 Club, I believe. Is that correct? Do you have a little club, a little party that you have?
We do. Yeah. So the Industry 4.0 Club started on Clubhouse, and we are slowly transitioning over to LinkedIn, where we're doing LinkedIn Lives and things like that.
Nice.
Mondays, Women in Manufacturing, which is taking place right now.
Yeah.
Grace Donovan does that. Yeah, like right now. So when you leave here, go to Women in Manufacturing.
And who does?
And-
And who's putting that on?
Grace Donovan.
Grace
is the
Okay.
host
Okay,
for
guys,
that.
so connect with Grace Donovan. Okay, yep.
And then Tuesdays, Manufacturing Future with Yen Pingle and Ira Sharp, who are both really cool. I mean,
Okay.
they're just like, so they're always teaching me things, and I'm like, whoa.
Awesome.
And then Wednesdays, usually fireside chat with either Mike Yost or Mike Unger. And then Thursdays we do like people, process, culture, and that's myself and Yen Pingle usually.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think Megan has a show on Friday. So, guys, all
Yes.
sorts of information and anywhere else that we can find you, and your website. Do you want to mention your website?
Yeah, my website is annwyattrecruiting.com, and you can learn all about kind of my services for clients, candidates, and then also I have a really cool like candidate resource library
Nice.
with templates and stuff.
Nice.
If you want them. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. All sorts of information, man.
Yeah.
And you are such an inspiration. What you've accomplished at such a young age
Yeah.
is just off the charts. I
Very
can't
cool.
wait to follow your career. And I don't know, maybe Damon, I'm maybe president. I don't know. We'll see
Yeah.
how
I don't
Ann
know.
will. No,
I
all right. That's right. She got out of federal government.
Yeah.
She's staying as an entrepreneur. So, and we wish you just monster, massive success. You are a blessing. Phoenix is one lucky dude to have such a wonderful mom. And so,
Yeah.
guys, we want you to go out there, just absolutely, man, we bring on rock star people. Damon, I don't know how we're so blessed to get
We
people.
just get lucky. We're just lucky.
We are so lucky. This Friday, man. And does anybody here like the History Channel? Does anybody like the History Channel out there? There's a show on the History Channel called The Machines That Built America.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Food That Built America. We have one of the commentators from that show, Dr. Uhuru Williams.
Yeah.
He is Damon, I don't know if I told you this. He was a historian at the Jackie Robinson Museum.
I saw that.
Jackie Robinson Foundation. It was just Jackie Robinson Day on Friday.
Yeah.
He is everywhere. If you Google Dr. Williams, he is a professor, a notable scholar and professor from University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota. So
Yeah.
Mr. Dr. Williams on Friday. So, and thank you for joining us this week. Guys, catch Damon on Faces of Business on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6
Boom.
o'clock Eastern time, 3 o'clock Pacific. And
Yep.
God bless you, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks
Hang
so
out with us
much.
1 second. And guys, go out there. Manufacturing Monday Motivation is wrapping up. Join us for Manufacturing E-Commerce Success on Friday and have an awesome day. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.